Good afternoon. We'd like to welcome you to another edition of Pass It On. Pass It On is a public affairs program presented through the facilities of WGOK with the express intent to keep you informed about the activities that we feel are very, very important to you in our community. It is such an honor to be here today on 9/11 because that's the day that with Pearl Harbor, they go down in infamy. And on this 9/11, we're going to talk to you about some things that we feel very, very important to you and to our community. Pass It On is a public affairs program presented through the facilities of WGOK with the express intent of keeping you informed about issues and activities that we feel are very, very important to you and to your community. And with that, we're just going to say good afternoon to you and welcome to WGOK's edition of Pass It On with my special guest, the Honorable Reggie Hill from the community of Plateau, Africa Town. Today, we just like to send our program out to all the sick and the shut-in. We just want to send our program out to all the bereaved families. And I want to send the program out to my grandson, Robert Battles III, who today that we're taping is on the road back home from Georgia. And we're going to have a little bang throwdown tomorrow. So we just wish him all the success in life. And to my son, Robert Battles Jr., who's been a great father. We also would like to send our program out to the memory of Mr. Joseph Knockout Abrams, who's a 1961 graduate of Central High School. He graduated with my brother, Walter Battles. Knockout is a devout member of historical Stone Street Missionary Baptist Church, where Dr. Milton Safford is the esteemed senior pastor, along with his wife, Miss Paulette Safford. We want to send our program out to Mrs. Abrams, Sue Knockout's wife, who's been a great church member. We grew up in the church together, and I just want to send my program out to the Abrams family in the memory of Joseph Knockout Abrams. They also told me that Harvey Dinkins, who's a real estate executive, passed this Friday. And we want to send our program out to the family of Mr. Harvey Dinkins, who was a partner with Henry Harsey, who's a real estate manager too. Harvey was a great gentleman, and I loved him. And we just sent our program out to his family during these hours of bereavement. And also, I want to send my program out to my sister, Miss Gloria Edwards, and to her daughter, Michelle Edwards, in the memory of my sister's granddaughter, but Michelle's daughter, Miss Allison Monte Edwards, who was born on September 8, 1992. She had a very difficult life. She had cancer, and it was very difficult. So we pray to God that His blessings are taking her where she is so that she could be in peace forever. And on the day of resurrection, we hope to meet again so that we could rejoice in those historical things. So this is to Miss Allison Monte Edwards, who is the granddaughter of my sister, Miss Gloria Inez Edwards, and to her daughter, Michelle Edwards. And we send our program out to you and to the entire family. We also like to send our program out and remember Mr. Howard Glaud. Mr. Howard Glaud is an esteemed member. I've been knowing Howard over 60 years. He was a esteemed member of this community. He was a bricklayer. He was a painter. He just did everything. But he also was a pretty boy because the girls loved him. Good hair-looking boy. They didn't like my nappy hair. But we want to send our program out to the Glaud family. And most of all, and we want to send our program out to each of you who lost someone, because there is no one who is important when you lose a loved one. So all of you who had lost a loved one, we send our program out to you on this 9/11 that we come to commemorate the anniversary of the big catastrophe in New York when they came in and bombed up the center over there in New York. And finally, what we're going to do today is to make a special tribute And that's why I invited Mr. Reggie Hill today, because he is my regional historian on the city of Mobile and how the city government works. But what I want to do today is, I want to take this time here to do a special tribute to my dear friend and colleague, Mr. He was state senator from the 33rd district, the Honorable Michael Anthony Figgers. Michael Anthony Figgers on this Tuesday the 13th, passed in 1976. So this show today is dedicated to the memory of Michael Anthony Figgers and the things that he has done in his whole life. When we came to the redistricting, and now we're fixing to deal with annexation. All of these involve the Mobile City Council, where Michael Anthony Figgers was the architect of the supermajority form of government. I was in the office today when Senator Betso called Senator Figgers and said, Senator Figgers said, ain't no way in the hell that we could pass this supermajority business government here, because it's just gonna give too much power to the black people. And him being the genius he is, he just sit up there and listen to it. He said, thank you for calling, Senator. He said, but you tell them same so-and-so, I can't do that on the radio. You tell them same so-and-so people who out there told you not to vote for the supermajority government. If you don't vote for the supermajority on next Tuesday, when we go back to the state legislature, I will shut Mobile down. Do you know how to spell down, Senator? D-O-W-A-N. And on Tuesday, the supermajority passed. Now, Michael Figgers said, like he was saying, we had previously been ruled under the commission form of government, where we had 3 commissioners. Those commissioners had unanimous power, but they also had the power to exclude African Americans from participation in the government. So that they could not decide the outcome and the things that they needed in order to make sure that we had a good society, so that our people could be able to benefit from the things and the financial dollars that come in. When they talk about annexation now, they say they want to do annexation because we need over 200,000 people. We'll be the 3rd largest city in the state of Alabama. Hell, we use the 2nd largest city to do the, it used to be number 2, because y'all remember we used to have number 2 on the tag. Well, but we're going to talk to my guest today, Mr. Reggie Hill. And Reggie, we welcome you to pass it on.
Thank you, Brother Ballas. It's always a pleasure to be here with you, have these extensive conversations about, I believe, matters that are truly important to our people. And so I just say greetings to your audience, and again, I'm grateful to be here.
Okay, Reggie, like I told you, what I've decided today was to dedicate my whole program to the life and the works of State Senator Michael Anthony Figgers. Michael Anthony Figgers was elected as the first African American senator from the state of Alabama, especially from Mobile at least. Well, he defeated Mike Perloff, and I was on that team, and we, along with Sam Jones, Milton Joyner, Leophus Lyde, Arthur Mack, and just a whole bunch of people. We got out to work for the senator, but the senator was a real soldier. The senator, when he came up with the supermajority form of government, he felt that African Americans should have an active participatory role in the government, because we didn't want to pay the taxes. We want to do all the other things, but we reap no benefits. And it seems like today we still reaping no benefits. But at the same time, though, I like to send my program out to the family of Michael Figgers, the Honorable Vivian Davis Figgers, who is now our current state senator, and to her sons, to Michael's sons, Derek, and then Arkeel, Jelani, and Shamora. We want to send our program out to each one of them, along with Senator Figgers, on this anniversary of the death of Senator Michael Figgers. Also, Reggie, we want you to just give us a little dialogue with the life and work of Senator Figgers and how you see the government working today Why do you think it was important to have a supermajority form of government?
Absolutely. What's very interesting, before I really even got involved in the public service arena, my grandfather used to petition those three commissioners quite often about the Plateau community.
Yes, sir.
He was actually very vital towards getting electricity and plumbing and so many other things in the area. So before I was born, I was kind of already put into this mix of having to be a voice and advocate for the people. And so when we look at where we all come from and the shoulders that we stand on, like many of us stand on yours, and you and I both stand on that of Senator Figurs, we must be very, very, very grateful that we got this new form of government, and which actually allowed us to have a voice at the table. I think it's very vital because even what we just saw this week at the council meeting, we're working on the budget, and 65% of the resources that we use come from sales tax. And so basically what that means is you can be a 5-year-old and buy a stick of gum, or a millionaire and have a shopping spree. You're still gonna pay the same amount based on your bracket. So we need to have that same equal representation by voice and vote as if we each are at the same level.
So do you think that is one of the significant parts of Senator Figurs' supermajority?
Oh, absolutely. And what's really important is we need to know that without us having the supermajority, we would not be able to see some of the improvements. While we need much more in the high poverty and underserved communities,
Right.
I believe we would be even further behind had we not had the supermajority be put in place in 1985. So that is the whole reason why we're even able to have the representation we have at the table,
Right.
and as well to ensure that we can at least fight for the funds that we need to improve the quality of life in our communities.
Now, we just went through this redistricting,
Mm-hmm.
and there were 3 proposals that had been submitted. There was Senator Simpson's proposal, which was, I think, was apartheid. And then there was Ms. Beverly Cooper and the Stand Up Mobile proposal on the community proposal, and then there was the compromise proposal. Eventually, the compromise proposal won. But do you think that it would have been possible to have any kind of proposal if it had not been for the supermajority?
Absolutely not. If we had continued on the track that we were on, and like you mentioned, I believe the proposal offered by Mr. Simpson would have set us back to that 3-commission style form of government.
Well, that's his job.
And so I'm pretty sure that if we didn't have this mechanism in place that was offered by Senator Figurs, we wouldn't have a voice at the table for these major decisions. I believe how the country has transitioned over the years, they could have placed something in front of us to make it seem as if we had a voice, or that we had, as you often say, a participatory role in this. But without this mechanism of the supermajority vote, we wouldn't have had a chance to truly ensure that we are represented as the majority, which has been reported by the consensus.
You know, Reggie, as I reflect back, because I remember when all three of his boys were even born, you know, because I used to go around there, he'd ride on the tractor with him. He was really a great father. But more importantly, though, I want to send my program out to his son, Shamora, who works in the Washington, D.C. with the Attorney General and the Justice Department. He's the one that took up the law like his father did, and he's become an excellent lawyer. So I just wanted to make sure that I reiterate that this program in commemoration of the anniversary of the death of State Senator Michael Figurs is a tribute to his family, to Senator Figurs, to Shamora, to Akil, and to Jelani, and to Derek, because his brother, Senator Figurs not only played an active role in the change of the city government, he also played a significant role in the Michael Donald case, because he was along with man from the Equal Justice, I think, that sued. And I remember him used to be with Michael Donald's mother, and they broke the Klan.
Come on, that's right.
You know, while you could break the Klan, you're a powerful man. Well, Senator Figurs he's just my mentor.
Yeah.
He used to tell me all the time, he said, Robert Bell, He said, "You just like a pair of hemorrhoids. You know, you worry a person until you just have to do something for you. You know." But what he meant was that he had this gift of politics that's absent today.
Mm.
He had this gift for when I rode downtown last week because I was going to the sister event where I was a vendor. When I rode down on St. Louis Street where I grew up at over 50 years ago, I could see all these white businesses down there open and flourishing in the black community. But at the same time, though, when I got ready to leave from downtown where they all flourished, then I rode up Davis Avenue, hit 45, trying to get out there, and it's all black. What do you think that it would take in the memory of some of the figures so that we can light up these other areas that's dark and help reduce crime and violence in our community?
Absolutely. There was a time that I believe we could place blame on our European cousins.
That's right.
But right now, because of the works of someone such as Senator Piggers, we have an opportunity to be at the forefront ourselves. I think it's going to take us actually taking responsibility and making the time to be at the forefront. We have to mobilize our people. That's the primary reason why things do or don't get done. If you're organized, you can see the fruits of your labor represent what it is you want to manifest. Whereas if you're just doing a bunch of talking, campaigning, just showing up when it might be most advantageous for you, there we go. Then we'll see.
Like as you call them TV shows.
There we go. So we'll see the reflection.
You come up, you want to be a picture taker.
Yeah. So you're there for the moment, for the flash. Instead of being there for the long term, which is the memory, which is the reflection of what it is that we need to pass it on to our people. So it's very interesting that we see, and these are just yards away. These aren't even miles away. You just cross the street and you see the difference in quality of life and just the quality of economic development in the same areas, sharing the same zip code. And so I think it's going to take people like ourselves to rejuvenize and reorganize what it is we want to do. Once our people are aware that their voice is important, once our people know that when they are at the table, we are able to really be a part of the decision making, then we can start seeing the results that we need. And then it'll dilute a lot of the stuff that's becoming inconvenience or hindrance to our community. I don't believe it's a rocket science thing at all. I think it's just a matter of us knowing, like the word says, we perish for lack of knowledge. I believe a lot of our people don't even really know what's going on, so they feel like they aren't vital or they aren't important to the process. But once they are aware that these decision makers determine their quality of life, I think we will see ourselves more engaged and then pushing the issues that we need to see to improve our community.
So do you think that would be the prerequisite for more voter participation? Because you know what? John Rousseau, the French philosopher, said that people get the kind of governor they deserve.
That's right.
They get the kind of governor they stand up for. You could talk about Donald Trump all you like. You could say what you want about it, but you have to admire him for being a Bogart and a pusher.
He did what he wanted to do.
He get what he wants.
That's right.
You know, when I was a boy, Reggie, they used to say the squeaky wheel get you.
Yes, it did. That's right.
So what do you see for the future now of the Michael Figgers-led supermajority form of government in changing the quality of life for African Americans in the city of Mobile?
Well, I'm very fortunate to serve as Executive Director for Success for the Future. We work directly with young people in the community who are impacted the most by a lot of these issues that we're seeing. And to learn how optimistic they are when somebody's just there to listen to them and guide them on how we should be living, it's inspiring to me to know that there is a bright future in place if we can keep them grounded. So I think what we have to do is remind people of the fight that's necessary. A lot of people have given up on the fight because they don't think it's worth it, or they don't think that they're going to get any resolve, they're not going to get any improvements in their neighborhoods. Like while we have a focus on the federal government and presidents and all these things are necessary, we need to cater more of our attention to what's happening right here in our own city. because that's determining your taxes, your direct laws, even something as simple as your garbage and your streets and how you're able to proceed as a citizen. So I think what we have to do is we have to not call them the young people, because I believe we all are young, they're just younger. So we have to reach the younger generation.
I ain't gonna call myself young.
You still young now. You got a lot of work to do.
I can't even run from you if you try to get at me.
Hey, but I think the same way, and this is what I mean too. If you had enough reason to, I think something will come up in you to get you where you got to go. And so I think the same way with our young people. If they knew the magnitude of importance of being engaged and involved, they could be the footwork. I just want to make one point about this. Let's think about the civil rights movement in Birmingham. A lot of people don't know that it was majority children who were the ones that were doing the protesting. There was majority children who were doing the most demonstration, because the adults would be at risk of their livelihood. So it takes that generation to get engaged and be at the forefront, and the word says as well, we'll listen and hear from the babes. So we can get them enlightened enough to be speaking on something that's worthwhile with hearing, and that can actually move us forward. I think we'll see the difference made that we need.
Well, what do you can say? We got to conclude our program. What can you finally say that will be the catalyst for all of our political leaders coming together on one accord, holding a great conference of the mind so they could hear from the people? You said earlier that the people fail because of a lack of knowledge. The knowledge that they lack is that if you ain't at the table, you're on the menu.
There we go. That's right. Well, I totally believe conversations are the key. I have learned, again, in working with young people, a lot of times they just need somebody to listen to them and someone to guide them in which way they need to go. So I think the same way it happens for the public. It's a good thing not to know everything. And there's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. We often combine the two, but ignorance is simply not knowing. So we have to just move ourselves from the state of ignorance as a people to where we know what is happening and we know our responsibility in it. And I think once we're able to see that we each are just minute pieces of this larger puzzle of life, we will do our part and give the direct regard to every individual, knowing that it is impossible for us to move forward without everybody being on the same page.
Okay, Reggie. Well, I appreciate you coming today. We're going to have to conclude this conversation. I appreciate your participation. But today, my audience, this is my special tribute to my dear friend, the Honorable Michael Anthony Fields.